Hello, good evening. It's Sunday evening, time for politics on Sunday. I am Femi Akonde. My guest today is the President's spokesman, special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on media and publicity, Chief Ajuri Ngelale. Thank you for your time on the program.
Always a privilege to be with you, my brother. Good evening.
Good evening. Well, let's start straight with the President's recent foreign trips. We have also seen headlines in some tabloids and of course on some online media platforms that kind of say the president appears to be traveling so much. Some even say, some even have called it junketing. But what's your own interpretation or reaction to the president's recent foreign trips and what's in it for the country? What positives so far?
Certainly, I've seen one or two out of probably dozens of headlines. You have one or two that refer to the notion of junketing. We believe that such an analysis or a framing lacks sophistication and a depth of understanding of just what His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been accomplishing on behalf of over 200 million Nigerians on these trips. Let me start by saying that His Excellency Mr. President in recent weeks has embarked on two major trips that involved him honoring the invitation of His Royal Majesty, the King of Saudi Arabia, King bin Salman, who essentially invited His Excellency Mr. President to attend the Saudi Africa Summit, at which not only did His Excellency Mr. President further burnish his credentials as an international statesman on behalf of our country, really improving our relationships with not just the Middle East and countries therein, but also with his colleague heads of state across the African continent, but also advancing his principal objective when overseas, which is the aggressive attraction and promotion of foreign direct investment. The president is all about jobs. He's all about wealth creation. He's all about revenue generation and expansion, and that is his mission. At the Nigeria-Saudi Business Roundtable, the Saudi Trade Minister and the Saudi Commerce Minister were present, two different ministers from the Saudi Arabian government. And what they said was that within the next few months, and they had a concrete timeline on this, that they will be coming into the country either before the end of the year or in the very early months of next year, at which they will be appending their signature to agreements that are going to be ready for swift implementation across sectors. What is happening right now as I speak to you is that the two governments of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Federal Republic of Nigeria under the leadership of Mr. President is that certain ministers have been lined up to liaise with their colleague ministers in Saudi Arabia to work out concrete areas where Saudi companies can come in with investments in bankable projects across sectors. So we're not talking about some esoteric pie in the sky notion of collaboration and investment. No, we're talking about details, the nitty-gritty, saying, look, we have an opportunity with this particular gas project in this part of the country. If you bring this amount of money, then we believe that we can generate this much profit. That we believe there's an opportunity for your Saudi Arabian port company, for example, to construct a new port in this part of the country. If you do that, you're going to unlock this part of the country for enhanced import-export facilitation for Nigerians and for investors. These are the kinds of concrete discussions that were had. But I think of real interest to Nigerians tonight is the commitment made by the Saudi Arabian Basic Industries Corporation, SABIC, a company that has assets worth, I believe, over 80 billion US dollars. They've been able to bank and monetize their oil resources to such an extent that they've diversified from simply dealing with oil and gas. Now they've used the oil and gas revenues to invest in projects in petrochemicals, projects in plastics production, projects that deal with the development and manufacturing of construction materials, packaging materials, so many other materials that they are now exporting to the rest of the world, so that they are prepared for a world without oil and gas. This is the vision that they laid out to Mr. President and made clear to Mr. President that they are ready to help Nigeria turn our oil and gas resources into other industries that are no longer going to be based on the export of raw crude or even refined crude, but rather on chemicals that are being derived from oil resources. This is the future, turning oil resources into extractable other materials that can be exported on their own to the international community. This is really the future of the Nigerian economy. The Saudis are interested in it, the Germans are interested in it, and the rest of the world is going to understand that we're no longer just a petro economy, but we are an economy that's diversifying into labor-intensive sectors such as agriculture, manufacturing, chemicals production, and the like, for the benefit of Nigerian workers, the Nigerian economy, and of course the investors who are going to be reaping the profits within the Nigerian market.
His interaction with the Gulf countries, how positive or how are these Gulf economies reacting to the president's visit, and are they really showing interest in Nigeria? Do they see prospects?
Absolutely. We believe that's a very clear sign of not just the goodwill between the two nations, but also about the priority with which the UAE sees the relationship with Nigeria, which of course encompasses investment, encompasses bilateral relations, defense, and many other sectors. So if you look at that event and you look at the fact that that came on the back of a visit by His Excellency President Bola Tinubu to the UAE in recent months, and then you look at the fact that we were invited to Saudi Arabia, and that during that summit we were able to attend the Nigeria-Saudi Business Roundtable, where all of the top CEOs and heads of major conglomerates in Saudi across multiple sectors of their economy sat down around the table and made their pitch to President Bola Tinubu, really conveyed to him what it is they can do, what it is that they've been able to achieve within their respective companies, and essentially made the case that there are opportunities for investment in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And as usual, President Bola Tinubu was very articulate and very clear in stating the manner with which and the extent to which these Saudi companies can invest massively in the Nigerian economy, and really made it clear that every bottleneck that may be in the way of investment will be removed under his leadership. That he's going to do it quickly, he's going to do it efficiently, and he's going to have an open door that will allow Saudi investors and investors from around the world that he's going to meet in different capitals for them to understand that when they come into the Federal Republic of Nigeria, they have the ear of the president, and they will have direct access to every official, both federal and subnational, that they need to have access to in order to have confidence that they can bring billions of dollars in investment to create jobs and opportunities for the Nigerian people on the shores of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, are there rules of engagement? Because in some cases we have seen foreign investors come into Nigeria, but it's kind of a lopsided relationship that seems to favor these foreign investors, where they come in, do business, and take everything out at the expense of local jobs, at also the expense of growing our local economy. Are there rules of engagement?
There are absolutely rules of engagement. Of course, some of these things aren't necessarily written in black and white, but it's on the basis of how Mr. President is engaging, what he's demanding and what he's asking for, and the nature of the negotiation that's taking place. His Excellency Mr. President has been clear with every investor, whether it was the group of Indian investors on the sidelines of the G20, whether it was the investors from the UAE, the investors from Saudi Arabia, the investors in the United States and in Germany, that his focus is on value addition. His focus is not on simply businessmen looking to sell items to Nigerians to enter the Nigerian market, to sell items that are being manufactured in other countries. That is not what we're interested in anymore as a country. What we're interested in now is saying, look, yes, we are happy to export our raw materials. We can do that, but that is going to be a very small percentage of our trade. What we want to do is we want to be involved in luring investment into the country that emphasizes value addition, so that we can maximize the value to the Nigerian economy, to job creation in country, in every sector where these investors are coming in. So for example, we're saying, look, we have the soybeans, for example. Yeah. We don't want to export soybeans to Germany anymore, where they can take Nigerian soybeans, essentially process those soybeans into vegetable oil, put it into a fancy plastic package and sell it back to Nigeria at quadruple the price in foreign exchange. We've been spending foreign exchange that way for decades, wasting money. What we're doing now is we're saying, instead of us sending you our soybeans, we want you to come in the country, set up your vegetable oil production facility in the country. We give you the soybeans in the country. We create the jobs in the factory in the country. You pay your taxes in the country. Everything is in the country, benefiting the Nigerian economy and Nigerians at large. That is the approach we're taking across multiple sectors, whether it's defense, where we want to localize manufacturing of our light weapons, of our drones, of our armored personnel carriers, which was a process that was even started under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari. We want to double down on that, accelerate that. We believe that we can do that in agriculture across the board, where we can refine cocoa into chocolate. We believe we can do that in energy, where we can be obviously refining our raw crude into refined PMS, aviation fuel, and the like. We believe, under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu, that the wealth of our country, the jobs that we're seeking for our youths, lies in an effective and deliberate strategy to focus our attention on attracting investments in value additive processing, refinement, and manufacturing. That is the focus of Mr. President. That is the message he's taking to all of these investors around the world. And that is the template on which we are engaging with these investors. So if you're asking whether there are rules of engagement, that is our one rule of engagement. Value addition, in country, maximizing the impact on the Nigerian bottom line, the Nigerian nation, as well as the Nigerian citizen.
The president's visit to Germany was on the invitation of the Chancellor Olaf Scholz. It was the first time Nigeria been invited to attend this G20 compact with Africa. The federal government sees this as a big deal, but how big a deal is it, especially for Nigerians? What did we take out of that summit?
Well, look at the immediate benefit, right? The immediate benefit was we had two major signings, two major agreements, memoranda of understanding between German businesses and Nigerian businesses for the benefit of the Nigerian economy. So, for example, there was a gas export agreement that was signed, which in effect would, by 2026, we would have taken a substantial percentage of gas that is currently being flared, destroying our environment with no value added to the Nigerian economy, no extra job created. We're now turning that into facilities in the Niger Delta where we're going to be able to create jobs immediately for our young youthful population there, while dramatically reducing the environmental damage being created by the gas flaring, because much of the flared gas is now going to be transited into liquefied natural gas and other gas products that we are now exporting to Germany in a concrete black and white agreement that we have signed with them. So now we are taking the flared gas, turning it into money, turning it into reduced carbon footprint, and turning it into jobs and new tax revenues for the Nigerian nation. That's just one agreement that was signed. The other agreement that was signed had to do with a $500 million agreement on the financing of rural electrification projects using renewable energy. Obviously, this has to do with solar-powered electrification of our rural communities, which is going to have a direct impact on our ability to provide power to farms across our country, the rural farms and hamlets, where we're going to be able to not only produce the food, but effectively store it, because with power you can now have mass refrigeration. That would cut down massively on our post-harvest losses with respect to how much food we are losing at the moment between the time that it's produced in our farms to the time that it's getting to our markets. Right now, I believe the percentage is somewhere around 40% or so post-harvest losses as a result of lack of powered refrigeration facilities and a lack of rural access roads to our farms, between the farms and the market. So these are the kinds of concrete agreements that we've already struck. That has nothing to do with the negotiations that His Excellency Mr. President has advanced at the table with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz on the reformation and restructuring of the Presidential Power Initiative with the German energy company Siemens. That is going to lead to an agreement that will be signed very, very shortly. We should be having something to say about that within the next few weeks, about the restructuring of that agreement to ensure that we not only accelerate it, but that Nigerians get the immediate benefit that was originally intended from the Presidential Power Initiative with Siemens.
A lot of people have said that, all of these MOUs signed and, the plans for collaboration and partnerships are lofty ideas, but it appears it can only be achieved on the long run because, as it stands, there's still that deficit of infrastructure to help achieve all of these and bring it up mainstream.
Well, it's understandable why Nigerians are skeptical when you begin to refer to agreements. Because there is a long history of unimplemented agreements. There is a long history of ineffective administration in the country that dragged their feet with respect to ensuring that the investments that have been agreed upon actually hit the ground in the country. But we also know that the reason why Nigerians voted massively for President Bola Tinubu was because of his track record, was because he was able to attract massive investment from around the world into Lagos State when he was governor. And because he put the blueprint in place for that to happen, Nigerians have confidence that he can do the same across the country now as president. So what we are dealing with now is a situation in which the president has said, look, when he's at the table with the investors, he is focused on urgency. He's not just focused on saying, bring your money. He's not saying this can happen over a 5-year period. No, he's saying we are going to kick every door down that we need to kick down. Every encumbrance in your way, we will aggressively attack that encumbrance and remove it. But in exchange, we want you to bring your money, not tomorrow, today. We don't want a commitment, we want your money. We want your commitment and your money. And in exchange, you're going to get everything from us that you expect from us. And we are going to make sure that you are in a position to not only bring your money into the country, but to take it out when you're making the massive profits that you're going to naturally make when you are operating in a Nigerian market with over 200 million Nigerians, 70% of which are made up of brilliant, industrious young people who are ready to engage with those industries and products. So the case is easy to make, but our focus is on making sure that when we go on these road shows, I'm fortunate to be in the room when Mr. President is telling these investors, these are the investments we're making. We are aggressively investing in road infrastructure. We're aggressively investing in railway infrastructure. We're aggressively investing in our port infrastructure. And we're inviting them to also be a part of that process. But they're willing to be a part of that process because they can see that we have already started moving in implementing some of those measures that kind of under the nose of the previous leadership had created a political conspiracy that had to do with the weaponization of the Naira, which also was a factor in addition to the larger maladministration taking place within the Central Bank of Nigeria that has put President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration in a bit of a tough situation as it starts. I think that is not something that is news to Nigerians. They're aware of it. They experienced what happened during the elections with respect to the Naira scarcity that was imposed by just a few individuals. And they understand that all of the moves that the president is now making are geared toward the swiftest recovery from some of those challenges. But let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's also appreciate the fact that under President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, we were able to move from massive food importation to a greater percentage of food self-sufficiency as a result of the investments in the Anchor Borrowers Program, making sure that we are enhancing local production in the country. We've started that process, but we've not yet finished it. Then, of course, the massive infrastructural investments with new railway lines, 5 new international airports, roads across the country. The legacy of the All Progressives Congress with respect to infrastructural provision and development development is not really in question. But when you talk about the fundamentals of the monetary and fiscal side of governance under the previous administration, it certainly had it left a lot on the plate to be desired. Now, we are not looking back, we are looking forward. The president's been clear. When he talks to investors, he's not making excuses. He's saying we are where we are, but we are going to get to where we all want to get to, and we're going to do it because we're going to collaborate effectively with you investors, and we are going to ensure that anything that stands in your way is removed so that you can come in and benefit from the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian market and the industrious and willing partnership of the Nigerian people.
And that's why President Bola Tinubu, when he assumed office, took those tough decisions and reforms that he says qualifies him to be on the Guinness World Book of Records. Has that process started in trying to put President Bola Tinubu's name on that book?
Well, I think President Bola Tinubu, he is a very charming man, and when he said that, you could feel the reception by the investors, because they understand that this is a man who literally stopped an ocean from encroaching on the shores of Lagos, just by virtue of innovative thinking, really capable leadership. So he's used to doing things that are unprecedented in the annals of Africa. He's used to doing that, and he's going to do that again with respect to the turnaround work he's doing across the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But I would say this: when you look at where the economy was that he inherited, and you look at where we know we can get to as a people, what stands between where we are and where we want to go is the willing collaboration of all Nigerians in this renewed hope mission. This is not about the President Bola Tinubu alone. This is not about, and this is what he tells investors, it's not just about him. It's not just about the government of Nigeria. It is about the people of Nigeria. Everywhere the president goes, what he is emphasizing is you invest in Nigeria, not because of President Bola Tinubu, not because of the APC. You invest in Nigeria because of Nigerians. 200 million plus Nigerians are the reason why we have a competitive advantage over every other country in the world. It's the reason why our people go to all of the other countries of the world and they rise to the top of all of their sectors and professions. It's the reason why we are still courted in terms of other countries trying to give scholarships to our students, because they know our capacity, whether it's athletically or intellectually. So what I think the president has said very clearly in Germany and in other places he's been is that because we know that Nigerians are the most important asset we have to the investors that are coming into the country, it is going to be about unlocking the potential, not just of our people, but of our country.
Okay, let's talk about security now, because from reports we're getting, it seems all is still not well within that sector. Recently, the security chiefs were in the National Assembly, where they said some of the issues they have confronting them now, that's the armed forces, is better equipment and welfare. But President Bola Tinubu promised them a better deal.
Absolutely. So the president is very passionate about this. He's passionate about the welfare of Nigerians generally, which is why he's been so actively communicating with them, making sure that everything that he's doing here and overseas is about creating opportunities for Nigerians, economically and otherwise. But when we talk about the defense sector, it was just yesterday that the presidency released a statement through my office announcing that President Bola Tinubu did assent to the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria bill that has now become an act. That is going to be transformational with respect to our defense sector. It's going to deal with how we can create an articulated financial architecture for our military defense industrial complex to ensure that we can mobilize private capital really for the first time in an articulated way, in a structured way, in a transparent way. We can get harness private capital to be able to key into the process, not just of the manufacturing and production of our equipments and of our defense needs, but also ensuring that the private sector is an active part of even R&D, research and development, making sure that we can partner with our academic institutions to get the very best Nigerian brains at the table, innovating, creating new solutions that eventually will be in a position to export to the rest of the world rather than importing from the rest of the world. This is the vision of Mr. President. So with the reform of DICON, that's going to be a big move in terms of how we're going to not just enhance our capabilities within the country, but also to set up the country as a major exporter of defense goods and equipments and technologies that ultimately can net the Nigerian Federation billions of dollars annually in sales. This is the future of the Nigerian defense sector. And then when you look at the black and white achievements, so to speak, or should I say progress with respect to the national security situation in the country, I think it's important to note that the reason why much of the conversation in the country is looking at things like the economy, looking at things like political developments and some of these other things, is really a testament to the fact that the national security situation has evolved to the extent that it's no longer the primary talking point in the country. Before now, a few months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago, you open a newspaper on the front page, you're going to be seeing massive numbers about casualties of people in different parts of the country, from the middle belt to the northeast, to the northwest, to the southeast, and at some point even with agitation in the southwest. We've come a long way from that. Right now, you're not seeing those numbers now. Yes, there are still theaters where combat is going on, but it's really about taking what we have inherited to a conclusion rather than being on the back foot dealing with threats that are wreaking havoc on our people. So we've made a lot of progress. If you look at the Southeast today, you would have seen that there is a dramatic change in the narrative in Igbo land with respect to the security situation. All is not yet Uhuru. We are not saying Nigerians should be clapping for us. What we are saying is that we have made substantial progress, and we are not going to rest on our laurels. We are going to ensure that we take that process to its appropriate conclusion so that our people can live in peace, do business in peace, and ultimately that is the foundation on which we will be able to attract the investment that we are aggressively promoting and attracting overseas.
Let's talk politics now. It seems there might soon be an end to the political crisis in Ondo State with the president's intervention, where he summoned stakeholders in that state to a meeting, a peace meeting. How well did it go, and what are they saying?
It is. Let me start with this. It was a very late night in the presidential villa, the day and night that President Bola Tinubu really took a hands-on approach to resolving the political standoff and agitation in Ondo State. He was very hands-on with making sure that he spoke directly with all factions involved and ultimately succeeded in bringing those factions together to the table to work out all of the snags in the relationships to ensure that point by point, issue by issue, there was resolution, that they understood each other, and that they, most importantly, agreed with each other on the way forward. As a result of that, not only is there peace between what were two warring factions, but are now one united party in the state, but they also scored a breakthrough with respect to what the outcome should be in terms of the leadership of that state in view of the very challenging situation that has arisen due to the situation involving the health of Ondo State Governor Akeredolu. So we are very, very pleased with the outcome of that meeting, and we believe that Mr. President's leadership and his peacemaking abilities have served not just the party well, but the people of Ondo State well, and ultimately that is the approach he's going to be taking to any similar situation in the future in the country, and as a result we can expect less of the antagonistic conflicts that we're used to seeing around the country under his leadership.
All right, then. Thank you so much. Well, on that political note, we'll draw the curtains on this week's edition of Politics on Sunday. Until next time, my name is Femi Akonde. Thank you for watching.